of John F. Kennedy in 1963? Well, there's no statute of limitations on murder. There's no statute of limitations on conspiracy to commit murder. Do we so much accept government lying, Governor, that at some point we believe it until we stop believing it? I mean, if the CIA was involved in the assassination of JFK, why isn't anybody in the present government doing something about it?
Because you'd be run out of government. I took a book called Lee and Harvey, which deals with the dual Oswalds, which I believe there was, because it's not uncommon in the intelligence community to create two people with the same identity.
Right.
But that's a whole other ballgame. But I took this book. It's 800 pages, all noted. I gave it to a friend of mine who is a 25-year homicide detective in L.A., and it took him a year to get through it, but he finally brought it back to me, and his response was, why isn't this case being reopened?
Wow.
Because it is a murder. And I looked at him and I said, because anyone that would try would be destroyed.
Destroyed. Either have their career destroyed or have their body destroyed.
Well, if I was an attorney general and wanted to go into Kennedy to know what we know now and do a legitimate investigation of it, you would be destroyed by the government, the partisans, and all the people within the status quo, because they don't ever want the truth to come out. And why, I do not know.
What do you think really happened, Governor, on 9/11 or on the days and weeks preceding it with respect to the American government and the attack on the World Trade Towers, the plane in Shanksville, PA, and the attack on the Pentagon?
Well, everything I've learned leads me to believe that if we didn't participate in it, we certainly knew it was going to happen and didn't do very much to stop it for political reasons. Because all indications are that they've wanted to go into Iraq for decades, so they needed an excuse to do it. So they had multiple excuses that they deceived us on. All of our intelligence on Iraq was based on one guy, Curveball, who our intelligence community never actually even interviewed. He's held by the West Germans. They knew he had no credibility, but that was the essence of the entire Colin Powell testimony in front of the UN, was based on this Curveball character.
Just as
let's remember, too, Judge, it isn't the first time. I was teaching at Harvard in 2004 when McNamara came through and admitted the Gulf of Tonkin incident didn't happen.
Right.
Well, this is what got us into the Vietnam War, where 58,000 of my generation were killed and probably 1 million Vietnamese killed. So we have to understand, this stuff has not been done before. The Ruckstadt fire of Germany, where they thought that they burnt down the Congress of Germany. Hitler blamed it on the Russians to get the Germans into war with Russia, when it turned out he did it himself.
Correct. I'm of the view that FDR either caused Pearl Harbor or looked the other way because he needed an excuse to get us involved in World War II. When I told people about my book, Lies the Government Told You, and probably when you told people about your book, American Conspiracies, and they said, how long is it? And I said, 4,000 pages, and everybody laughed. It's because we believe that the government lies to us, and it would take 4,000 pages to explain all of those lies.
Well,
why have we come to a culture in our society where we expect the government to cheat and lie and break its own laws?
Well, I guess I did the condensed version because I managed to get mine all done in 200 pages. I got right to the point, I think.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Before I let you go, do you think that somehow, there's your book on the screen, Jesse Ventura, American Conspiracies, do you think that someday we will look on 9/11 the way we look on the JFK assassination today? That is, where people who question the government's involvement will be mainstream rather than looked upon as an extremist fringe.
I hope so, because there's sure a lot of unanswered questions, and the part that bugs me the most, Judge, is this. You're not even allowed to ask them. Now, the other day, I just wrote a check to the United States government for 6 figures, paying my taxes, right?
Right.
Now, doesn't that entitle me to be able to ask them a question and expect to get an answer? Because in my world, if I'm sending to paying the money, that means I'm the boss, or I'm supposed to be, and they work for me.
You got that right. And,
well,
and they would like us
a question and get an answer.
They would like us to forget that they work for us, because they treat us as if we are subject to them.
Exactly. Let me throw this at you, Judge, to finish. In my TV show, we contacted Rudy Giuliani 13 times to ask him a question. He would not talk to us.
Wow.
And the simple question, this is the question I had. All I wanted to know was who actually was in charge at the 9/11 site. Was he making the calls, or was it the federal government? Who actually made the calls there that day?
I wonder why he wouldn't answer.
Well, 13 times.
Governor Jesse Ventura, the book is American Conspiracies. If you start reading it, you won't put it down. If you read it in bed, you'll have a sleepless night. Governor, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge, and keep up the great work and for all your courage.